So do you think April's sarcastic and has a strange sense of humor? Has to be respect. But I want you to say, okay, I actually, we could be friends. I actually am feeling him as at least in the friendship space.
You said the key word, friendship.
Okay.
So at that time, so I operate in a place of, like I said, I operate when I'm meeting somebody in a place of respect, common courtesy, friendliness, just pretty much I try to operate in joy and giving people a chance. I truly try to move in the way that God sees us. So I try to operate in that same type of vision, although it can be hard sometimes, sometimes. But that's how I really do try to operate. So when we talked about him being in the military, we talked about his job, him playing a saxophone, him being a DJ, his son, the different, let me start on the culture stuff. We talked about that, and I was like, okay, so he has a diverse background. He's been through a lot of traveling. He does a lot of traveling. Then we talked about food. So it was like, okay, when he's not acting crazy, he can hold a decent conversation. Okay. So the fact that we had just a decent dialogue where it wasn't no, kind of childish stuff. Then I was like, I actually enjoyed laughing and talking to him. And then we was joking. Okay. And I'm not giving, I don't remember exactly, but I know in spoke to Habibi where he took comfort me and talked to me. And asked me
no. Is it now? You're talking about once you had almost been eliminated. You were the second one. You stayed. They sent, I believe it was Leanne home, and then he came. You had quite a few guys came over there. Let's talk about that first because obviously I feel like that was connected to his attention, but you seemed really upset when you were in the bottom two, and you said you felt like you kind of got played. What was it?
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're giving you guys a breakdown of Tequilla's interview with Crystal XO. Since they're doing interviews early, I'm gonna start breaking it down early. What can I say? So we're gonna dive in deep and try and get some understanding of what she brought to the table with Crystal XO. I'm gonna try and focus on the colorism, Habib, the fight with Janelle. I'm gonna try and speed up different points so we can get to those important pieces of the actual interview. I think there was some good conversation that was had between Crystal XO and Tequilla. I think what I really got understanding for was the fact that, in all honesty, I think Tequilla, like she said, she'll say herself later on, she tries to see the best in people. That doesn't always translate to actually seeing the best in people. Sometimes you just got really bad boundaries. And as much as you might see the best in people, you don't know how to hold very good boundaries. You're always trying to fight for people because you're actually projecting what you feel onto other people. But that's another conversation that we might have a little bit later on. Right now we're going to focus on Twitter and breaking it down. So if you are new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. Let's get into the video. I don't want to waste much time, baby. Oh, I didn't realize I got a mineral top on. Yeah, I got a mineral stuff on as well. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. All right, let's get into this video. I might make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it as well. But let's get into this. Oh, don't forget as well, like the live, guys. We've got 60 people in here. It's growing. It's going to keep on increasing. Like the live.
But who did you connected with to make you feel? Because I would assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you guys come on the show, and again, I'm saying this, please educate me because I would never go on the show. I'm not built for radio. I'll probably go home immediately. I'm just not, that wouldn't be my thing. So I already know I would end up in the bottom immediately. But, and that's okay. That's why I would do it. But I wonder how people, when they come on, are always so shocked. Because there's a chance that you could go. It's what, 9 women, 9 men? So when people's feelings are hurt, I'm assuming that either they had a connection with somebody that we didn't see, or they really just didn't take into consideration that they would be sent home. But I'm just like, it's a 1 out of 9 chance, which is pretty high. So what was it that happened that caused you to be so shocked that you were in the bottom? Because you didn't go home, but that you were in the bottom.
Okay, so it had already been a long day. Can we start there?
Okay.
So we were out. I got there like 10 o'clock that morning, and so by the time we were about to do eliminations, I believe it was like midnight. So it's hot outside, feet hurting, got on heels, sweating, trying to keep your makeup because during that time we didn't have touch-ups on there because we had to come ready.
Okay.
So, trying to keep yourself looking nice. We, water, alcohol. I didn't even get to eat. So it was just like, it was a number of things that were going on, just pretty much exhaustion at that point. It got to a point where I was like, I need a break from the cameras because it's like, it's overwhelming, it's new to you, then you're having to talk to 9 different people, and then you want to be course and make, you know, conversation with the ladies too. So you're trying to meet everybody, get a feel.
Right.
It really is almost like a speed dating type thing. Because when I would be in one good deep conversation with a guy, I get pulled to another guy, and then I didn't get to finish that conversation. And like right when I'm about to go, I get pulled in another direction. So it's like, oh, man, I didn't even get to talk to that person.
Okay.
Or like, you know, so that's how that was going. And then preparing for that day, being up early that morning, you know, paying money for makeup, hair, taking out work. Like I put a lot of effort coming in, preparing for this big day.
Baby, she gave us, listen, I love to hear backstories, but this is long to answer the question. You look like you're ready to, you look like you were finished at the fact that you were at the bottom. And you've given us a whole background, which is not a problem. I'm not saying it's a major problem, but I think it doesn't solve the issue. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like in actual reality, all the things you're saying don't actually are little tidbits, and they do contribute towards the end goal, but they aren't really the answer to why you felt the way you felt, right? So we've just spent another 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds, and really and truly, it's not aligning with the answer that's needed for this question. So again, I think you're putting a lot of sauce in here. But I just need the truth as to like the point, as in why were you feeling so down as to pertaining to the show, because you realize that people are going to be eliminated, right? And so yeah, very long-winded way of going to the point.
So coming into there, you know, I had really deep conversation with Chris. I really wish they would have showed that because me and Chris like vibed.
And you liked him, and you said,
"Oh, I love him."
What has Chris got to do with the fact that you're at the bottom? Again, we didn't get to see you have a good conversation with Chris. It doesn't really matter whether we saw it or not, because in reality, they put you at the bottom. So why were you reacting the way that you did react? That's what we want to know, right? Chris ain't got nothing to do that. Okay. All right. Give a direct answer first, then give us a long backstory. Absolutely.
Okay.
okay.
I like Chris a lot. Red too. Me and Red even had some little jokes in there. I had a good conversation. Me and Mario went deep too.
Okay.
Phil, we have, you know, our conversation with, so Phil, but for the most part, I even had a talk with Quentin, like me and Quentin, like we talked really good too. We went deep, and then it came to us. Okay, I go talk, you know, we have to mingle and stuff because we would have sat there probably kept talking. So
yeah,
you
so
know,
you felt like you had some good conversations
because of the conversations we were having, and we were laughing, and it was like, you real cool, like I'm feeling this conversation. So to me, I'm like, okay, we're off to a good start. So I made it a point to work the room and try to meet everyone. I didn't get to talk to her, but the minute I wanted to talk to her, I got pulled away.
Okay.
So I didn't get to meet Herbert at that time. I did get to talk to Marvin.
I think where she's trying to go to is saying that, and I think I'm putting in the chat, she wants us to know that she had great conversations with everybody. So maybe this is what her thought process is. She had great conversations with so many people, with Chris, with Phil, with Brandon, with whoever, Habib. She had so many great conversations. So to be at the bottom was kind of confusing. So she's not sure why she was at the bottom, because I can't say that she doesn't know why, but she's given us a whole, you know, list of men that seemingly for her was great interaction, but you know, again, again, those great interactions should have saved her in a sense, right? I think that's where she's trying to go with it.
It's not going to be shown, but me and Marvin actually have so much more in common as far as
Marvin
reading,
too.
Food, our family values, like, and then he likes to travel. So me and Marvin got to talk about some stuff too, but I didn't get to circle back and finish my conversation.
The point of the matter is everybody spoke to somebody, and everybody got round to everybody. So everyone might have thought they had a great conversation, but why did you break down the way that you did? That's the original question. Like, we're getting a whole round the mill conversation. Now we're going to Marvin as well in terms of how he felt towards you. Like, you know, it's not me being mean. It's just being obvious, being real about the situation. The question hasn't been asked in the last 2 minutes. So
with him, so I think there was like a miscommunication with him and I, because I was like, oh, Marvin's not feeling me, and he thought I wasn't feeling him either. So there was just a big communication with him and I. But yeah. So when I was called to the bottom, by this time I'm exhausted. I'm like, can we come on and wrap this up? Like, and I was like, I feel like I was doing good. I was mingling with the ladies. So every single one of them, they were beautiful because they were, you know, just trying to get to know them as well. So it's a long day. Was there any tension with the other ladies on that?
So the whole point was that it was a long day. So we actually, the fullness of that question didn't even get answered, because that's not the I'm not going to say that's the answer. I guess I was expecting a better answer. But in short, your answer was it was a very exhausting day. Now, of course, I'm not disputing the fact that there isn't a very long day. We know that they go through 12 to 15-hour days at points filming. So yes, it's very difficult, very tiring, very a lot as well. So I do get that. It's just the fact that you broke down. So I'm just trying to understand how we got to that point.
First night.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so everything was
well,
good.
not with me anyway.
Not with you. Everybody was friendly. Everything seemed cool with everybody that first day.
Everything was friendly from my end. I can't speak for everyone else. Like I've seen some stuff, but
now let's pause it here. Was this the first or the second day? Because when we saw you on the show, when we saw her on the show, when she was talking, when Janelle and Unique were talking, you know, you made a little slick comment. Now I know that Janelle probably made some slick comments in between that time as well, potentially. But I'm just being real. In that moment, that was the first day, right? That was a mix-up because you guys were being asked about about your people that you like. So when she said obviously the very first day she wasn't having any problems, sis, you gave that snarky remark on the very first day, if I remember correctly. When you made a comment about some people don't know what real love look like, you made a snarky remark defending Habib, so it seems, unless it was edited. So that's the first day, babe. And you were defending that man in 24 hours and less of knowing him. My dog. You know what I'm saying to you? You were ready to go to blows on a 48th hour. Like, even Jesus had to do 72 hours in the grave. I mean, come on.
From my part, I was very friendly and welcoming, embracing the ladies. So, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, I will say this. Like I said, I get it. It probably is a blow to everybody's ego.
I was embarrassing because it's like, man, I'm like, did I do something, say something? And then, you know, with the exhaustion, all that, I'm putting in money. I'm like, you know, this was a long interview process. I was interviewing for months, and just to get sent home on the first date. Come on, let's be human about it. Let's be honest. It's a dig, and it's very embarrassing. And one thing I stand on is stay true to who you are. Like, be for real and be honest about how you feel. That was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that she sees going home on the first date as embarrassing. Not saying it's bad or good. It's just the way that she's interpreting the information. So because she went through a very long process, got through 140 people, her perception of her going home on the first day is embarrassment. Now, it's interesting that she sees that way because some people might see it as, well, I got through 140. I'm out the first one. I did really well. But the fact that she saw it as being embarrassing is also quite intriguing because that's her perception of the scenario. Now, you know, she didn't get sent home. She got put in the bottom. She didn't get sent home. She got put in the bottom, which by of course we know it, that there are some ways that the production get involved, but overall it means that maybe your meshing around with people wasn't necessarily in alignment with the people that were on the show, right? So you weren't getting the grasp of the audience and what they wanted, and you were not fitting the specifications. Similar enough to how Leanne was a little bit too old, and unfortunately that's why she was not pushed forward some more. But in reality, the situation, it's like, sis, you're saying that you weren't to anything on the first day, and also now the embarrassment because you were in the bottom. Okay, let's work with that. I think we can go a little bit deeper than that. Okay.
Well, I would say this, Tequilla, it shouldn't be embarrassing. I know eliminated. This is just a conversation. As of today, we're talking about the first 2 days, and so talking about being in the bottom.
So imagine this is the first 2 days is what they're talking about.
Talk about Brandon, because Brandon was the first person to go home, and I think people kind of assume
I didn't get those details. So, and granted, it was just we immediately said
6 months out of a divorce. I want to say there are I know a lot of.
I'm going to skip past this, guys. I'm just going to get to.
Oh, he didn't tell me that. So I guess my time with him was cut short to where we didn't get that deep in the conversation.
Act like that. So I want to ask this question. I want to play this clip and then ask you about after you came back from and you didn't go home. What do you think Habibi's interests were? Hold on.
Who the say some like that?
It's not the right clip. Hold on.
Okay.
We may not have this. So there was a clip of you guys all sitting down talking, right?
Uh-huh.
You and Janelle and another young lady. And I just want to ask, like, do you think, because when you first started to like kind of support Habibi and like really kind of have his back, do you think that the reason that he came over and was so kind and was so talkative, at least from what we saw, was because obviously of somebody he knew the rest of the ladies were having an issue with him, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them. Do you think that it was because he felt like, oh, she could be an ally for me, and this is easier because I'm getting resistance other places?
If I'm being honest with you, I have had let's be honest. Everybody has either had a Habibi in their life or experienced a Habibi, whether it's in a friendship, relationship, or it's a family member. So
let's pause it straight away. The first thing let me just scoot back just so you can understand what the question was. I've now started seeing what Tequilla does, right?
This is easier because I'm getting resistance other places.
Now, the question was about the fact that maybe he chose her because of, it's easier to choose her because there was less resistance with her than it is other places. And the first thing that Tequilla does is go straight into trying to already presumptuously answer the question. So let's be real, guys. Everybody's had a Habib in their life. She's already presuming what the audience may read into her answer. So she's already she's preparing herself. So she's trying to form the narrative ahead of time to say, hey, guys, I'm just like you. I had a Habib. You've had a Habib in your life. You know what a Habib looks like. We've all had a Habib. But the reality of the situation, we don't need to be brought into it. We know that some people have had a Habib, but we're saying we don't need to be brought into it. Let it stick with you. Let it stick with you. See, when you start doing that, you aren't really holding yourself to account. You're afraid of what people might say about you, and they have said some stuff about you because obviously it's been in the news, it's been in the Twitter sphere and stuff like that. But the reality of the situation is, you don't need to bring us into it. You know what I mean? You don't need to. Yes, get ahead of the enemy. Exactly. You don't need to bring us into it because in reality, it's you that's dealing with the situation. But the moment you do that, you're trying to almost slightly deflect and try and say, well, guys, I made a mistake, but we've all made that mistake before. You know what I mean? Like, not to, so that you don't feel bad about it, but you don't need to feel bad. You just need to know that you just hold yourself accountable and say, yeah, I made a mistake. That's me. Rather, she's trying to bring us all into it. Like, we all got mistakes, guys. So, don't be too hard on me.
If I'm being honest with you, I have had let's be honest. Everybody has either had a Habibi in their life or experienced a Habibi, whether it's in a friendship, relationship, or it's a family member. So for me,
I said I've seen some Habibis.
Yes, and so I work with them too.
Yeah.
So let's be real. So I feel like he may, and this is an assumption. Like, if this is me, you're asking me. This is just my opinion.
Right.
He probably did use me as an ally,
mm-hmm.
but I was being fair and open to the process by getting to know him, giving him a chance, even though the red flags were there. I'm like, it has to be more to him. Like, I want to get to know him and dig deeper on why he acts the way he does.
Okay, so if your MO is simply just to understand how deep he goes, I get that. But if you know your MO was going to go further than just getting to know him deeper than what it is, and you were going to defend him to the whole group, that's a different level now, sis. To the point where you said that if Habib goes, let me go, you got a different level. Now, you telling me you're trying to understand him, but you've thrown yourself in the ring for him already. Already. You know what I mean? Like, that you don't even know the man to throw yourself in the ring already, like 24 hours in, baby. Okay, so if you believe that you felt like maybe potentially he could have been using you as a plan, says, why are you jumping in the deep end so quickly with him? Like, let you know that you're willing to even leave the show at one point to go with him. And of course, she explains that as well. But I'm just being real. I mean, I just think to myself, like, sis, like, it's a lot already.
Okay.
And so he probably didn't use me as an ally. But when he came around that second time to comfort me, I didn't expect anything less because we had talked so much throughout the day.
Yeah,
we were sitting by the fireplace taking shots, having fun, just drinking and laughing. Like, it was definitely a friendship vibe. I was like, Habibi is like really cool, like chill when he's not being playful.
Right.
Like, his humor is just different. It really is. It's dry. It can be disrespectful, but
it's disrespectful. That's a problem. What did you think?
And I told him that, like, there's nothing I wouldn't say on this live that I have not said to Habibi. Me and Habibi keep it all the way 100 with each other.
Now, she said it was a friend vibe, so I guess she's disqualified him as a friend, which is quite interesting. Okay, that's quite interesting. And she admits that obviously some of his humor is disrespectful, and she's told him about it as well. Interesting. I'm wondering why she wants to. I'm wondering why she finds some level of strength in defending him. I want to know why that is. What does she see in Habib that she wants to defend, stand in front, guard him from the other ladies? What is it, right? So, because he is disrespectful and he is rude. So what is it that you are seeing that you're willing to stick at it with him in those seasons. You know what I mean? Like, why are you sticking with him? You've only known him 48 hours. He's been rude. He's been disrespectful. Of course, she isn't. She lets us know that she actually didn't know all the stuff that he said to the other ladies until she got to a lounge. But she still fought over him, which doesn't make any sense.
What did you think about the other women? Because even though, you know, you were talking to him and you could see a place in him that was good, I mean, he was making some comments to some of the other women that was really hard to hear. I don't know how much of that you heard prior to what you saw on Fox.
I didn't hear any of it.
Okay.
So we're moving around, so and it's 20 million conversations going on. So I'm not pretty, nor was I around to hear the conversation with other people. I can only tell you what him and I was talking about. I couldn't hear him because we're all spread out in different areas.
Right.
So and then when nephew Tommy came to talk to us, he talked to us in different groups. So I know Unique, she was just like, he's being himself, which me and her both still agree on. Like, he's not faking, he is being his authentic self, whether we like it or not.
Yeah,
he's showing up to this process being his authentic self. And so he may not have been for her, for me, but I was willing to take a chance and still get to know him.
Now, it's really interesting that she said that he turns up as his authentic self. And I asked myself the question, did he turn up as his authentic self? And if someone turns up as authentic self, but they're disrespectful to other people, bearing in mind, obviously, she didn't know that, all the things that he had said, why would you go to bat for him on the first night and say some people don't know that, some people don't, don't understand that kind of love? You know, you went for bat for him on the very first episode. And then you go for bat for him on the second episode. So what is he showing you? Hold on. What is he showing you that's making you want to be able to defend him this way? It's still not really gonna explain that.
Okay.
Throughout this process.
What did you hear him say that he was a cheater? Did you hear that? Did he tell you that? Did he tell you that he had cheated before? No.
I
Okay.
did know that he dated for 11 days and had a child.
Okay.
Got the woman pregnant.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, sometimes that's life. Depending on how you move.
Yeah.
Wait, did he not tell her that he's a cheater? I'm so confused. Well, I thought he told her he was cheating. I thought he said the comment to her. Wasn't she around when he said the comment about cheating? Or am I bugging? Wasn't she around when he said about he cheated? So how does she not know? I thought he said it when she was there. I thought he said, obviously, when he went, she asked him about what you do with other women, and he said quite directly, hey, I ended up cheating. So I'm so confused. Did they not have that conversation? Or am I bugging? Maybe I'm bugging. You know what I mean? So I'm so confused. Like, wait, what? Did they not have that conversation with her? You know what I mean? I just need to go back to see what she actually said, because that's confusing to me.
No.
Okay.
I did know that he dated for 11 days and had a child.
Okay.
Got the woman pregnant.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, sometimes that's life. Depending on how you move.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Crystal, plenty of people cheat and still stick around with their mate.
Oh, absolutely. And most people, I will say that.
Hold on.
What did you hear him say that he was a cheater? Did you hear that? Did he tell you that? Did he tell you that he had cheated before?
No.
I must be bugging, because did he not? I'm sure he said. Or did he say it to someone else? Maybe he said it to someone else. I have to double check that, because I could have sworn he said it to her. Okay, he said it to Boots. He didn't say it to her. Okay, maybe he didn't say it loud then. Because I have to go back and watch that, but I remember I thought he said it to her, because I thought he was behind her at the time. She was behind him when he was talking, and he mentioned that the fact that he cheated because she asked him about what would happen with women, whatever, right? And then he answered it. I must be bugging, because I thought that's what happened. In fact, I can double check real quick. I'll just go on our own site, because they've got episode 2, and I'll check it in the meantime. But yeah, okay, I'll check it behind the scenes. But yeah, that's wild.
Okay. I did know that he dated for 11 days and had the child.
Okay.
Got the woman pregnant.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, sometimes that's life, depending on how you move.
Yeah, and let's be honest, plenty of people cheat and still stick around with their mate.
Oh, absolutely. And most people, I will say this, when he said, my problem is not that he acknowledged that he had cheated in the past, because I feel like 99% of men and maybe 97% of women at some point in their life, from the time they've been dating to the time they are at this place, have cheated. Most people have. It's not abnormal. My problem was he seemed very much like he didn't have a problem with cheating. Like he may do it again. Like it wasn't like he felt like cheating was a bad thing. Now he could have just been poking the bear. I don't know. But I don't have a problem with a man saying, yes, I've cheated before, because I would rather you say you've cheated before than say, no, I've never cheated. Because when
exactly
he says I've never cheated, I'm always like,
yes.
If you say I have cheated and I learned from it and I understand and what I need in a relationship and I'm doing my best, that's different than saying, yep, I cheated every time. I mean,
but he said that at the bowling alley. So that's when he told me when we were at the bowling alley, when we were throwing the darts, he did say I cheated because she wouldn't give me oral sex, but I grew up and I learned from that. So he took accountability in that moment.
Okay.
So how can you take accountability for wait, hold on. Did I hear that correctly? My brain, I'm really trying to figure out.
He told me when we were at the bowling alley, when we were throwing the darts, he did say I cheated because she wouldn't give me oral sex, but I grew up and I learned from that.
I got to go because people are crazy up in this place. Didn't you just say that you didn't know he cheated? Like you just told him he took accountability for cheating? How can he take accountability for cheating if he never told you he cheated? I'll go on and pat this because it's kind of long. Because I don't want to mess up my whole place. It's kind of long, dude. No, still down gently. What the heck? How can you say that he took accountability for cheating if you said you never heard him cheat? He said he never cheated. So he did say it then. I'm not wasting my time trying to look for the clip. There's no point me looking for the clip. You know what I'm saying to you? There's no point. Like, sis, come on.
So he took accountability in that moment.
Okay. He took accountability. And Glamour's like, I'm just throwing out, these are not proven statistics. It's just Crystal's opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Don't fuss with me about that number now. I'm just saying, I think most people have cheated or at some point in their life. Nobody is above having committed a mistake before. My problem is how you handled it in the future. Now, I do want, he didn't know her well enough to play like that. Like, if I'm playing back and forth with one of my friends and I'm quick to, like, if I'm joking with a good friend, I'm quick to be like your mama. And I'm just playing. I don't know. I'm not talking about the person's mama. We're just going back. But it's somebody I know and we have that rapport and we're just playing. So when he said, your mama ain't, I don't think he meant it in a negative way, but she definitely, so what he should have done is apologized and told her I was just playing. I don't know if he did that or not, because
he did. He said on the clip, he was like, I'm just playing.
But I think even more because she was obviously offended. You know what I mean? But I feel like at the point, and we don't know what actually happened, but you can see her withdraw from the conversation. So I feel like you gotta be able to read the room and say, oh, wait a minute, I want to make sure she knows that I was not really trying to hurt her feelings. Now, the comment that he made to Janelle, there is no excuse for that one. So what's your...
Was it shown?
Pardon?
Was it shown?
We did not see it. So we did not see it. That is when
I tried to have that open conversation on camera so that we can address it right then and there at the bowling alley, because if somebody says something to me off camera and it's getting brought up where we can really just hash it out and get to the root of it, I'm going to answer. We finna talk about it. We grown. Let's talk about it. Let's be honest. It was a lot of people talking about sex on their first night. It just wasn't me, but I got shown doing it. Yeah. There are more people who are more sexual than that talked about sex more than I do. Too. And if we want to talk about jokesters, Sierra's the biggest jokester out of everybody on the cast. Okay. So outside of Red being a comedian, which he jokes a lot too, Phil, I think, is trying to get into the comedian field. I think he does it a little bit too. See, my problem with her responses here is she's got a defense for him in every scenario. So like every situation, she's got a defense for Habib. And that's the problem I have with her. Like, she's not actually reading the situation with Habib and how he's coming off to other women.
he's coming off rude, disrespectful. Okay, he's coming off as somebody who's not people's favorite at the moment because of the way he behaves with the women. So why is it that you've got an answer for everything that Crystal's thrown at you? When it's a Sierra situation, whether it's the bowling alley with Janelle, whether it's, you know, his you know, cheating comment that you said that you didn't even hear, but then you heard because he took accountability for it somehow after. Everything you're defending him on, rather than just being very real about the situation, which is he's just got bad habits. I don't need to defend him. Let him sink on his own. But you're trying to save him from drowning, and it's like you don't need to. And this tells me that, of course, you know, you might see the good in him because, you know what, maybe no one saw the good in you, but you're trying to save somebody that doesn't need your saving. You need to leave that person alone. Okay? They're not the one that needs to be saving.
But it's like we had a bunch of characters that like to joke, and then he clearly is telling you he's joking and laughing. And
but you did, but I mean, we didn't hear. So let me ask you this: did Janelle share with the rest of you all?
And even if he's joking about the mama joke, she still took it offensively. The joke didn't go down well. So it's like I said, it's not one joke, it's not one thing. He's done it. He's talking in several places that are becoming problematic. Right. And so that's the issue we have with him. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he's perfect, and I'm not saying that he has to be perfect. All I'm saying is, come on, sis, start looking at what's happening here.
The statement that he made about if she turned around, he next time in that close in space, next time he would suck her breast. Did you guys know that he said that?
I didn't hear that for the first time until we were in the women's lounge.
Okay. So
I didn't hear it before that.
If he said that, when you heard that he said that, what was your thought process?
So after I heard that, I was like, and I'm being honest because I told this to him and everybody else. I said I wouldn't put it past Habibi to say something like that.
Okay. My
question is, if he was joking, it's still inappropriate.
It's not.
But
so first and foremost, you wouldn't put it past him to say something like that. Number one. Number two, he said obviously, you know, even if he's joking, it's inappropriate. That's it. It's done. That's it. It's done. Why are you trying to defend him? Why are you trying to save him, Tequilla? That's a real question I'm asking. Why are you trying to save him? What investment do you have in this man that you want to save him? What kind of attention has he given you that makes you feel like you can spend your currency of energy and time defending him? Okay.
If he said that, we have a bigger issue at hand. And I told him, baby. So I called him. I said, "Did you really say that to her?" And he was like, "T, come on, be for real." I'm like, "I am being for real," because I was like, "That's a whole different ball game.
That's like sexual harassment. Like
that's a whole different ball game." Yes, ma'am. So he was like, he said he asked the producer to produce. He was like, "Can you please play back?" And apparently it was said off camera. He was like, "If it was said on camera, play it back." And the producer was like, "I don't remember you saying nothing like that." This is what he was telling me. So I was like, "Was it anybody else around that can, you know?" And he was like, "No." And he was like, "I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I said that."
I don't.
He said that's what he said. So when he said that, I'm like, okay, because it was tension between them two. But I didn't know about the tension at the wine bar or whatever. So when we got to the bowling alley, it was just a real awkward communication with them too. It's like I don't even think they spoke to each other. So I was like, "Oh, there seems to be some tension. Is everything okay?" Like I was trying to see, is everything okay? She was like, "No, I want to talk about it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't think nothing of it. But when we got in the women's lounge, that's when she brought it up. And I'm like, "So why did you bring it up when I asked, was there an issue with you and him? That way we could address him and he would have been able to speak. We would have got his side. We would have got her side.
That's
we
fair.
could have squashed this vote, but you and the women."
I mean, this is a fair point. Part of this, I actually listened to it. I said, I think it's a fair point, right? If I think if she did have an issue, they could have brought it up. Thingy, but I'm gonna give two sides here. She could have brought it up at the bowling alley, and they could have discussed it whilst she was there. I do agree. I think that is fair to say. That if she had a problem, she could have at least discussed it with witnesses around, and then they could have discussed it, hashed it out, and it'd be done. But also at the same time, maybe she didn't want it to become public, public information. It can become very messy in that respect, because also at the same time, you know, other people are going to know. Maybe she felt she was trying to also defend him and save him from being exposed as well to the world, because she probably might know how it might look. That's also a possibility as well. Okay, so she could have. Now I'm gonna, I think there's I'm gonna say it too, and Jay as well, that you know what, Janelle is a game player, and you know what, she held that bullet in the chamber. You know what I mean? Held that bullet in the chamber. I think also in that space as well. I think there's a part of it that also was like, you know what, I'm gonna hold that for later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna drop that later as well. He gonna get a bomb. You know what I mean? Maybe as well. That's also an aspect too. Can't lie to you. Yeah. So
he's not there to speak his behalf, but you are. So of course, us being women, of course, we're favored. So they're gonna cling more to our side of the story, which is necessary in this case. Mm-hmm. So that's what was going through my head. It was just like, okay, if it wasn't on camera, it happened off camera. Let's give both of y'all the opportunity to speak about it on the camera so we can address it.
But with him saying, I will say this, Tequilla, this is just my opinion. With him saying, I don't think I said it, that's not. I
can understand it.
Yeah, I'm not cool with that, because a man should know. Of course, I wouldn't say that. And if you can't tell me, of course, I didn't say that. Like, that's not me. And
if the statement, because the statement is so wild, it's almost hard like to say, yo, you didn't say that. You know what I mean? It's kind of wild, that you didn't say that. Like, yo, if you know you didn't say that, you didn't. I'm not gonna say I didn't say that. But at the same time, too. Sorry. At the same time, too, I have to be fair too. And I think, Trey kind of put it there too. If you don't want it public, don't put it on a public platform. I agree as well. That's also the aspect as well. It's a tough one, really, because obviously it's a he said, she said. It's a he said, she said. We haven't seen no evidence. Just she said it. You know what I mean? But he didn't say no directly. He kind of said, I don't think I said it. That's not a very strong answer. It's not a very good answer. And it leaves open gray area for, well, I told you I didn't think it was the right answer. Okay. All right. I told you I wasn't sure 100%. So for me personally, I would have liked you to be sure. And like, yeah, I definitely didn't say that. You know what I mean? But what does I definitely don't mean I said that mean in the long run of things? Either he said it or he didn't say it, but we don't really know. I guess we'll never know, kind of thing, right?
For it to be like, okay, maybe he did, then that's inappropriate. And I agree with the comments that once he said that, I wish Janelle would have told Tommy
right then and there.
He don't need to go to elimination. You just aren't ready to be on the show, because if you don't know how to respect women, you should not be on Ready to Love. It's totally unacceptable. So I just want to ask you in that moment, because for you were so emotional about him, the conversation with him when let's go ahead and now we can play my clip. Let me go ahead and play my clip and play the clip now. Let's see this.
Okay.
Say some like that.
They top.
And your tops ain't no better.
Well, he ain't let him say that to you.
Correct.
Exactly.
And it's because the energy you give him.
Baby, that's not
you
the
haven't
energy
even
I
said
give
to
him.
try to get to
I
know
don't give
him.
him no energy. I try to
hang on.
Gallery.
Hang on.
That gallery, boo.
Don't get mad because they don't like you.
Oh, I ain't mad. Girl, boo.
Oh, please.
They only going for you because of skin color.
Because
Ooh, and she dropped that part there. Hold on, because they definitely gonna get copyright. I don't want no copyright on me, baby. She dropped that part there. She said, listen, they didn't like you because of your skin tone. Oh my God. This is where it gets tricky, baby. This is where it gets tricky. Yeah, it's a little bit political.
Wait. No, Baby, are you getting up? Yes, ma'am. Are you getting up?
I'm really about this one.
Get
myself right now.
I'm not done.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. A lot in that clip, but why were you so passionate about defending him? Now, Janelle did when she came back and was like, when Tommy said, who would say something like that? And then she says, they top. She was talking about Habibi being in your top. So your response, was it, what where was your that is poking the bear, but where did your
It was a lot of poking that wasn't shown.
Okay.
So my thing was that went through my head was, girl, it's literally been the next day. So how do you know who likes me and who doesn't?
Right.
Like who made you Queen Elizabeth to feel like you're that high up to say, oh, that's what they don't like you. Don't be mad because they don't like you.
Yeah.
How you know that? So my thing is, as a person who just went through this process, like the 140 other people prior to the interview,
right.
It hurt me to find out that the rumor of colorism played a role in the dating aspect of Ready to Love.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Because you made a statement, and I hate that, but I wanted us to talk about it. The statement of
Let's talk about it.
The only reason they picked you is because of your skin color.
Why?
So those words came out because I experienced it.
Okay.
In that moment, production allowed Janelle to ruin the process. And that's what came out of my mouth in that moment, because a lot was left out. It was a lot of back and forth that went on.
Okay.
And so it was so bad that every time Tommy asked me a question, Sierra and Janelle kept cutting me off. And
let's pause there first and foremost. We're asking a question about why you said the colorism aspect, right? And why you said that they only picked her because she light skin. Now, I don't know if she's talking about if she's talking about the people. If she's talking about the men, how would you know that? Do you get what I'm saying to you? Right? Like, how would you know that colorism played a part in how they're viewing her? How would you know? You've been there for 48 hours and less. How would you have known that this situation, right? This was colorism. Now, bearing in mind, of course, yes, the show is over, and she's talking from a finished perspective. But when she said that comment, there'd only been 2 episodes. There'd only been just about 48 hours past. Right? That's why I don't get it. Like, I want a straight answer as to why you made that comment. I'm just trying to understand it.
Statement of
let's talk about it.
The only reason they picked you is because of your skin color. Why?
So those words came out because I experienced it in that moment.
Because she experienced it. And that's the part I'm trying to figure out. What did you experience? Right? What did you actually experience?
The production allowed Janelle to ruin the process. And that's what came out of my mouth in that moment, because...
Now, she said Janelle, the production allowed Janelle to ruin the process. Is that to do with the fact that she's light-skinned? Is that to do with the fact that she's light-skinned? Because did Sierra ruin the program? Like, you have to see a pattern. If Janelle's the only one that's allowed to ruin the show, and it was Jessica, too, who was doing it too, Jessica and Janelle are not the same complexion. You get what I'm saying to you? Jessica and Janelle are not the same complexion. So unless you're saying maybe someone like Sierra got involved and Sierra was also with Janelle and they both were doing what they were doing, I'm confused. So right now, it's not looking like you got a leg stand on.
A lot was left out. It was a lot of back and forth that went on.
Okay.
And so it was so bad that every time Tommy asked me a question, Sierra and Janelle kept cutting me off. And he had said, hold up. I am talking to Tequilla. Please let her speak. She didn't speak when y'all were speaking. Give her chance to speak.
Now let's pause it right there. Again, which part relates to her being a colorist in the way that she handled you? She don't like you. Now, are you saying there was behavior? Again, give me some behavior. Give me some behavior that is also acclimatized with this as well, right? Give me some behavior to this, right? Because are you saying that Janelle and Sarah were on your neck? If I heard correctly, it was Janelle and Jessica who were the one that were two like that, who were interrupting you, not, you know what I mean? And even if they were interrupting you, they don't like you. Now, again, there may be some stuff that comes later on. I'm not going to lie to you. There may be some stuff that comes later on. So I'm going to open myself up and not jump down a rabbit hole and decide straight away right now. I'll let the evidence play a little bit more as I'm learning to be a bit more wiser these days. But for right now, I'm looking at it and going, baby, I'm gonna need a little bit more information.
And so it was a lot of that going on, like interrupting. And so also mental health jab was thrown at me by Janelle and Jessica, which was another primary reason why I was upset and emotional, because, and this is where I have to work on too, because my expectations of people are too high. But I had higher expectations of Jessica for you to throw that mental health jab at me, and you're currently grieving the death.
We've got away from the question. It's about colorism. Now we've ended up at the mental health aspect. You haven't actually answered the question. This is why I find it frustrating, because you've thrown out this accusation and we've gone to colorism, which is a very heavy accusation in this modern day and age. It is, you know what I mean? And for you to throw it out there, and yet now we're now on your mental health, which, by the way, the girls are wrong for trying to, you know, make jokes and quip and be rude and disrespectful by attacking your mental health and stuff. But what's that got to do with colorism? And it wasn't just Janelle doing it. You said Jessica was involved in this heavy. Jessica, Janelle are not the same complexion.
Your mother.
Who said she? What?
Yes. Yes. So you're throwing a mental health jab at me, you and Janelle. Oh, she need to take her pill. She crazy. It was like some, yes. So I'm like, whoa. So that's a jab at my mental health. You're grieving the death of your mother. If we want to throw some jabs,
this is all bad. This is,
yeah, but they're not going to show that. So in that moment, you have to understand, like, I'm like, I tried to handle this situation.
I think what she means, and I hope, because that didn't sound right. I'm not going to lie to you. That didn't sound right. I hope what she means when she says about mental health, the jab that about the mother passing away, I hope what she means is that, oh, I can't believe she's thrown a jab about mental health when she knows she's going through a very depressing time. I hope that's what she means, because the way she described it didn't sound like that. It's almost she's saying, I can throw shots back at you and talking about your mom is dead. Like that. That's what it sounded like. I'm gonna need you to communicate that very, very clearly to Quilla, because it sounded like what you're really saying is, how are you going to be throwing jabs at me when you know your mom's dead? I can throw some jabs too about your mom being. That's what it sounds like, rather than it being about you know, necessarily you know, rather than it being necessarily you know, that you're saying that the mental health aspect, in terms of like, if you lost your mom, you can be the mental health aspect is, you know, important, and you're saying that she should be one that should understand, all right? But it really more sounds like you're saying, it sounds like she's saying, I could have gone there too. And that's why I started questioning. I said to myself, what do you mean you could have gone there too? Like, I don't, what do you mean you could have gone there too? Like, what?
Figure out what the issue was with Janelle. And first of all, let me just say this too. It was raining that day.
Okay.
There was a miscommunication with me and production as far as dress code. So I came in there with a corduroy jumpsuit on, because he was like, wear your brown corduroy jumpsuit. It was a big misunderstanding. So when I got there, everybody aesthetically had on dresses and heels. And I'm like, why am I the only one in this jumpsuit? So now I had to go run at the last minute, go grab something. And that was the only thing I could grab. So, you know, I'm putting on my jumpsuit. I had on my jumpsuit. I'm like, it's raining. I'm not putting on no lotion. So I'm not wearing lotion. So we get there and I'm like, me and him are going back and forth, me and the producer. I'm like, how was this a miscommunication? I'm going to throw the aesthetics out. It's going to look weird for me with these boots on, with this colorway jumpsuit. It was cute too. Yeah. And I was just like, you got these beautiful, classy women looking good in their dresses. And so I purposely didn't wear makeup, because like I said, I've watched the season since season 1. Since season 1. And I'm like, you know what? They want to see people without weave, you know, makeup. I'm like, you know, I ain't have time to put a wig on, so it's gonna stay on. So I can definitely move without some makeup on.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I ain't wearing no more makeup. I want to show up as my authentic self. They did give me some lotion, but I had to be on set for a specific, like, it was like, quick, you already running behind, it's time to get ready for set. So I'm lotioning my legs as best as I could. So when you see me sitting in the chair with my legs crossed, I can see it. I can see my cellulite. I can see that I'm ashy. People, I've read comments where people was like, oh, she looked ugly, but they forget to do her makeup or her hair. And I'm like, so when you have a woman that shows up and presents herself from what y'all keep complaining about and what you want to see, and when I do it, you still attack me. Make it make sense.
Well, it's not. And the comments, you know, I've told people on this channel, my job has been a publicist for years. And that's what I did before. And so I know that there's no, you know, especially Black women. Unfortunately, Black women, the people that are meanest to Black women are other Black women. And I'm a Black woman, so I can say that. Please don't at me because I'm a Black woman. And I know I was working with a particular artist and she was young. She was 17, just coming out. She's very well known now. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want that to become bigger than the story. But, and I'm saying it's easier said than done because I'm definitely a girl as well. Now, I feel like a lot of times we allow our insecurities to speak or what we've experienced before. I'm a brown-skinned Black woman. I've definitely experienced feeling like, you know, someone that a lot of times men would prefer lighter tone women. That's just life. And it shows, life shows up on Ready to Love, right? But do you think that comment, not saying what Janelle said was right at all. I'm not talking about Janelle, I'm talking to you. Do you feel like that comment was right for you to say about they're just picking her because she's light-skinned?
So that, to be honest, I'm a very authentic person and I'm big on stand on what you say and do. And I'm standing by it.
Okay.
So
why would you say that? Why do you think that though?
Being honest and standing on what you say because you can't take back what you say.
No. Why do you think that they only were liking her because she's fair-skinned?
So this was a broad statement as far as it tied into production as well, because she got away with a lot of stuff that if I did it or I actually did something, me jumping up at her, but I can't go into detail all the things she's done because that'll rule the upcoming episodes. Right. So when you look at that, and I'm sure you'll hear from other cast members.
See, this is the part that doesn't make sense to me. This is the part that doesn't make sense to me. When they shoot that lounge, I'm assuming that's day 2. Right? Because they're asking who's going to go. At that point, I'm assuming it's still day 2. So when you make a comment that, you know, the skin tone is the reason why people are choosing her, I don't get it. Because it's only day 2. For you then to say, hold on a minute, that I don't want to ruin things because things are upcoming. Yeah, but up until that point, you hadn't seen. What did you see? Do you see what I'm saying to you? Like, you can't bring what happens in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 when you made the actual statement on day 2. That's my point. So I'm not saying that there aren't things that are going to happen later on. What I'm saying is, how did you make that deduction on day 2 and make a bold enough statement that way? Now, let's not get it twisted, right? What she made a statement was about Janelle has been getting away with things. Okay, but how do you know that if you were doing it, you would not get away with it? How would you know? Are you doing the same things? Are you doing the same things? You know what I'm saying to you? Now, maybe if we were to have a real conversation about attractiveness, maybe we can have a real conversation, because there is a conversation to have. Someone's even mentioned it, right? It's very rare, and I think on past seasons have we ever seen somebody who is of a thicker body be liked so much by the men. That's the truth. On most seasons, they get kicked out first. So in that regard, there may be that you know, there may be some aspects in terms of skin tone can play into it, right? Probably a better actual understanding probably be, it might be closer to featureism, right? It might be closer to featureism rather than actually even being colorism. It's be close to featureism because she might have very quote unquote I can't remember her face. Let me see if I can see her face and show it, right? So because that's a real conversation, don't we? I mean, I would need to see a longer portrait photo, but she has very, I would say, I don't know how to say it, but how do we say it? Yeah, I don't want to say Eurocentric, but Eurocentric features. You know, the slender nose, the cheekbones aspect and look. You know what I mean? So maybe that could play a part in it, which would be more featureism than colorism. You know what I mean? You know, so that's also part of it. Yeah, so it could be more featureism aspect, right? Where she has certain features that make her more attractive because she carries more towards the Eurocentric vibe, right? But even in that, still, okay, even in that, still, baby girl, let's keep it real. You know, the girl looked pretty. That's why, and she's getting some pretty privilege. You know what I mean? So she's getting pretty privilege alongside with that. She's a pretty gal. You know what I mean? I think we spoke about, when we spoke about this last time, we spoke about how even body shape is important. So where if someone is a bigger size, where does a fat or where does a fat deposit? Does it deposit on the breast and the bum? If you do, then it's fine. People ain't gonna complain. You got shape. But if it rests in the stomach area, yes, people are gonna look at it differently. So even where it rests is different. You know what I mean? Yes. Apparently Texas like bigger people. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's also true. All right. You know, but I think also with that as well, her face is really pretty. Her face is very pretty. I've said this before. You know what I mean? She has a pretty face. All right. So, you know, that's gonna help, you know, in how people are gonna look at her. So, you know. But I think Tequilla may be jumping slightly the gun, just slightly. You know what I mean? In episode 2,
it's like she got away with doing a lot because when we got in the ladies' lounge, what stays in the ladies' lounge does not leave that ladies' lounge. And Tommy made it very clear: if anybody tries to ruin or manipulate this experience, he'll be the first to send you home. Okay, that was very well known. She never went home. Okay, so.
But you know, Tommy always says about those who try to ruin or manipulate, and every season they do the ruin and manipulating. That's normal, babe. That ain't nothing to do with her. Okay, that is nothing to do with her. Trust me, they do it every season where they do their alliances, everything like that. We've had it every single season. Tommy ain't kicking out nobody. Okay, Tommy ain't even kicked out Habib. How you talking about light skin privilege? He hasn't even kicked out Habib, and Habib was being disrespectful. So Tommy ain't gonna kick out nobody, babe. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Tommy ain't kicking anybody out. Habib hasn't even left. So why would you think that Janelle's going to get kicked out for being a bit catty, being a bit of a bully, being snarky, being snide? I don't like it, and you won't like it, and I'm sure the other cast members don't like it. But babe, come on. Keep it consistent here. Habib ain't even gone. Habib is still there. And he said, how dare anybody say those things? And Habib was still there. Well, up until now, Habib was there. You know, he didn't get kicked out straight away. Okay, yeah.
When she made that comment, I was like, okay, it ties into everything. You're like because you're light skinned. Because the minute I jump up, and I actually was going to apologize even after it happened. I even told one of the producers, I was like, I was wrong for jumping up. I should have controlled my anger. Okay. But y'all know everything that is going on, all the conversations that have been had. It's only so much you can hold in, or so much that can be said, and so much poking the bear before somebody just snaps.
Yeah.
And that was my moment. Yeah. And it was a lot of snapping moments on camera, but you know, mine's always get shown. My crying always gets shown. And I wasn't the only one on camera always crying either. It was people crying on their camera, but you know, I get shown doing all that.
So again, once more, what the frick does this have to do with light skin? Oh, sorry, being a colorist again. Basically, what happened was Janelle was coming at you, and she was doing it in such a way that they're not going to stop her from doing it. Her being a little bit bullyish, they ain't going to stop it. Yeah? Her talking with her mouth, they ain't going to stop it. You know why? It's good. It's great for TV. Okay? You know what I mean? It's great for TV. Her coming at you, but using her mouth, but not using her body, you decided to get aggressive and get up and do that. That's the issue. So that's why it's different. That's why it got shown. So yes, of course, there was some one or two snide remarks. We saw them play the clip where she's saying something, you're saying something, she's saying something, you're saying something. Then you get up and you get up in her face. Whether she says 100 things or not, we get to see at least that her being, mean in that particular aspect or being rude in that aspect. We saw Janelle for what she is, and they show clips of her being snidey and remarky. And I'm assuming that's the kind of behavior that she does throughout the show. She's very snarky and she's very snide with her comments. Okay, but you got up and got in her face. And on the show, you can't do that. So why weren't you kicked out? Because baby girl, you got up to want to fight her. Why weren't you kicked out? Come on, sis.
I feel you on that. I think it's two parts of this. I appreciate you saying it shouldn't have jumped up.
Yeah, I take full accountability.
Can't allow people to get to you. Like I said, Janelle isn't here, so I'm not addressing what she did, but I don't agree with that statement that she made. They don't like you. And
because how you know that? It
was also a statement to try to get you. You know what I mean? Like
she knew how to trigger me.
To trigger you, right? So you can't let people trigger you when you're on television. But I also do think that I have to say this as a woman, and I've said I think Black women are more hateful to other Black women than anybody else in the world. We could deal with what Black men do to us, what white men, if we stop doing stuff to each other, we'd be great. But yes, I think it's dangerous, and I appreciate. Let me see. The Haitian Empress said the fact that your comment wasn't on camera was extremely dangerous about the comment to Janelle from Habibi, because we have to now. Some women lie, but I think if she said this person's men accountable, they're strong.
We were unmiked. And Janelle, it was me and Habibi and Kira walking out.
Okay.
And Janelle, you know how you walking next to somebody and you loop your arm with theirs? So she loops her arms with Habibi, and she was like, Habibi, can I have a conversation with you? And he was like, yeah, what's up? She was like, I think you're cool. I think you're fun. I think you're funny, whatever. She was like, but when we on camera, focus on who your connections is. There is no connection with us. And she said, other than that, we'll be good. And he was like, why you couldn't say that while we was mic'd up? I said, yes. Why didn't you say that while we were mic'd up?
Yeah.
So it's like, I wasn't trying to protect Habibi, but I'm just like, it's a lot of stuff that was said that's not shown. It was a lot of, and it's not just, I'm not even speaking in terms of Habibi and Janelle, but from other cast members. It was a lot of disrespectful stuff done and said on camera that I'm not going to speak on because I want to see if it's going to get shown.
I want to see if it plays out.
Yeah, so it's like, this is what I wanted y'all to understand, because it's like, if you said that after I tried to address the tension between y'all and you waited till the mics was off, it makes me question, like, did you exaggerate what he said? Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I definitely understand that.
It's not that I didn't trust her. I just wanted to make sure, like, let's be real.
Point taken. Because I would have felt the same way, and I'm glad we straightened that out.
Yes, man. And I wanted to, and I'm trying to not give out too much, but I'm keeping it all the way 100. I'm big on that, and it was just like a lot was done. Because if I'm being honest, just like we've heard people think this is a game show, and I'm like, if I'm being honest, from my experiences from being in.
I don't even know where we are in this interview, because I feel like we've gone left so much. I feel like we haven't actually addressed the actual question. I feel like we've gone left. I feel like we've missed it quite a bit, you know what I mean? And I think it's because Tequilla's been filling in the blanks in her mind quite a bit. I'm not saying she's crazy or anything, but your perception is what's making you fill in the blanks, because based on what experiences you have, you may be reading scenarios in a particular way. And so it's feeding into the narrative. But right now, I'm not seeing any evidence of anything.
In this process, it was no longer about really love. It was about who can get to the end.
Yeah.
So
we see that on every season, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like the show as much as they used to love it in the beginning. Like,
especially being a viewer to a castmate.
Yeah.
So a lot was just like when Ciara said that he said F my mama, I'm like, that boy's close with his mama. So if he really said that, that's F'd up.
Well, he said it, but I don't think he meant it in a bad way. But like Edna said,
he didn't. But he said your mama ain't ish, which don't even make it better. Let's keep it 100.
Right.
So
he was just saying as a response to what she said. She said her mama had done something. They're playing back and forth, and he was like, "I totally get it, but you got to read the room."
Read the room, and I agree with you 100% on that. So if he's known a joke or like that, when it came to her, I was like, I wonder was he joking or did he really say that? So when I saw it on this episode, I was like, it's very clear that was a joke. He's misunderstood when it's come to his jokes, because his jokes can be disrespectful and dry. Yeah. So when she kept saying that, which I'm hoping if it was said off camera, why would you feel so comfortable to lock arms with this man off camera and tell him that when we're unmiked?
Yeah. Well, I would say I just want to clear that part up. So you guys heard it. I asked her why did she, question Janelle, question why, and then say you don't get to know him. But if it was because she saw the way they were interacting off camera, that's why she felt to say.
Yes.
So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from Habibi. Is there anything else you want to say? Because you did make a statement before we move on. You did make a statement. If you're gonna eliminate Habibi, eliminate me. Why do you say that, girl?
Okay.
Answer that question.
Why you say that, Tequilla?
So Tommy told us, you got to do the work. You got to come to this process and do the work. You have to be open. Be true to who you are. So if being authentic is being attacked in this situation, like Habib was, if being authentic, we know this man is being himself. So if being himself, being authentic, and he's being attacked and being sent home, and I know for a fact I'm coming to this place being authentic and showing up as my true self, and others are coming with masks on that will be soon revealed, and promoting it for exposure, then send me home. Because
but you weren't being disrespectful. You might have been. You weren't.
That's what I was thinking in my head. I say,
but listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. You said he was being authentic, and I'm authentic. So if he goes, then I should go. But you were being authentic. You were not being disrespectful.
Yes,
that's why he got to go, because he was disrespectful.
Yes.
You know, so that's why
she's
we're
still
like,
trying to defend
why
him.
would she put herself in that same position? Now, the comment about the colorism, both that situation.
Why is she tying herself to Habib? If he's being authentic and he's got to go, then I've got to go. What? What kind of reasoning is that? What is the reasoning behind that? Why are you reasoning that if he's got to go, why have you tied your fate to a man you barely know? That level of tying yourself to somebody who you barely know is absurd. But it's coming from a place, if you really want to be honest with it, that's what I said about the low self-esteem and the low self-worth. Because when you start attaching yourself to people that you barely know and you can't vouch for, oftentimes it's because you'd want people to do the same for you. And it's because you've been unprotected for a lot of your life. You've been exposed emotionally and mentally and not been covered for a very long time. And so you are trying to do for others what you wish they did for you when you were younger. You need not tie your future or your position in the show to a man you met 48 hours ago. You barely know him. You barely know it. And he's been doing the most. And now you found out that he's been crazy with these women, and the women are telling you this, and you want to talk about if he leaves, I want to go too. We got to question that.
Really back and forth. And I feel
there
like
was more to it.
Because even if you got to realize how many people see this show, it reiterates, in every season on Ready to Love, there has been colorism has been an issue.
It's real.
It has been an issue. But my girlfriend Shay was on the other night. Shay is a chocolate girl, and she's so it's not about color. Sometimes it's about personality and who they can get to do what. But I just feel like never assume.
And I love the fact that Crystal told her this, because basically what she's saying to her, listen, baby, nothing you've explained to me makes any sense. And you're talking about colorism, but baby, sometimes men just don't like your attitude. It stinks. It's the very same reason why she couldn't understand. Okay, it's the very same reason why she couldn't understand that when it came to how Phil was reacting to her. She didn't understand why Phil was pulling away. Phil pulled away because your attitude stinks. Showed him a little bit of your, I don't want to say silent, maybe attitude stinks a bit far, but you showed some contempt in that moment, and he didn't like it. Yeah. So when you showed that contempt towards his answer, he pulled away. Okay. So this isn't a colorism issue, baby. They just don't like you.
We've all dealt with it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, because we've all dealt with it. But I feel like we cannot assume if we don't really know. We don't really know. And I feel like a lot of times when we get to an emotional part, our own insecurities kind of creep up, right? Yeah. I would say, oh my gosh, this guy may not like me because I'm divorced. Later, I'm like, girl, we didn't even know you was divorced. That was just you. That was you. That was you. So I feel like for the show, I wish we could stop with the light skin, dark skin, because it's just a bunch of beautiful women. Now, some people's attitudes ain't right, but it ain't got nothing to do with their skin tone. It has everything to do with just their inside, right?
So we can't turn ahead to say colorism isn't real.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying a comment like they don't like the men only like you because you're light skin is not fair.
That was included with producers as a lot. That's what I'm saying. A lot is not being shown. A lot of it was chopped and cut up. So
right.
No, I guess going off my experiences, not saying that from y'all point of view, I don't think that's my experience.
Right. But we just seeing, I can only speak to what we saw.
Yes, ma'am.
So I get what you're saying. So I want to move on.
So let me just say this, Tequilla hasn't fully grasped this, right? I think in the reality of the situation, I think Tequilla needs to understand her temperament and her attitude is kind of off-putting. Listen, even if Janelle being a little bit snidey and snarky, I get it. I understand. Janelle was doing the most, trying to fight the women. I get it. But I'm saying to you, like, look, sis, you need to look at you first. Okay, you need to look at you first. How have you, how have you actually played a role in this scenario? Have you played a role in this scenario? You know what I mean? Have you played a role in this scenario? Don't allow yourself to be drawn straight to colorism, and it might just be a pretty thing. You understand? Where the man them like the pretty gal, and they're just seeing her as a pretty gal, and they're going for her first. You know what I mean? But this colorism aspect right now, we still ain't answered all up until now. And all I'm getting is, well, you know what? It includes production and includes things that happen before, after. Like, babe, like, it don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So, for me personally, yeah, that ain't it. You know what I mean? That is not it at all.
More colorism or race, interracial issues.
Okay.
The comment, because was it what? Oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? That's Quentin. Yes, Quentin.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about the conversation.
Let's get into it.
If you guys are watching, stay tuned. We are still talking. We are here with the
I think that's actually it.
On a show that's on with a predominantly Black audience. That's kind of crazy,
yes,
but
yeah.
we've seen it before. We've seen it in
the Quentin situation.
So you spoke up about a conversation, and we actually saw footage of the conversation that you had with Quentin, where he said he wasn't really attracted to anybody, any other ladies on the show. All right, I'm sure she's gonna just tap back in. We're getting ready to get good. Y'all, please hit the like button.
When I come out the restroom, and we're in the living room of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "Hey, I wanted to circle back and check on you. I know, just wanted to see how you feeling." And I was like, "I do kind of feel blindsided because, like, I thought we were off to a good start." And he was like, "We did have a good start."
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to understand that. I'm like, okay, if that was the case, I shouldn't have been in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So he started speaking encouraging words to me too, and I was like, let me be honest with you. I am a very direct and upfront woman. Mm-hmm. So if for any reason we're going through this process and you're not feeling me or you're no longer interested in me, please just let me know, because I want to respect your place in this journey, and I want to respect my place in this journey and try to pursue otherwise.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, absolutely. He was like, yeah. I was like, because it's not going to hurt my feelings. If you're upfront with me and you're direct, you are not going to hurt my feelings. But if you lie to me,
mm-hmm.
that's where I lose respect, because I'm giving you the opportunity to tell me the truth.
Okay.
And so, especially if we're coming to this process, doing the work, being our authentic self, and being open. Let's be 100. Let's be open.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, so after this long day, he actually got my number, but he denied getting it because I was sitting at the table with Aries. He just went and got everybody's number.
Okay.
He swears he didn't get my number when he handed me the phone and I put it in his phone. But anyway, and I was like, well, is there anyone here that you kind of...
So wait, he denied that he got your number, but he had your number in his phone. Was that a joke? Was that him being serious? It's getting a bit, I don't know.
For you kind of like it. And he was like, you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. He was like, there's not normally any woman in here that's my type that I would go after. And I said, oh, ouch. I was like, we got some baddies in here, like different shapes, sizes, and skin colors, chocolates, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of giggled a little bit. He was like, yeah. But he was like, if I had to pick, I would say Janelle and Sierra. I said, so I'm not a coming back. And he was like, I didn't say that, we still have room to go, but he was like, right now, them two. Mm-hmm. And then he says he like thick girls. So I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, so you must stay outside of your culture. And he was like, well, I'm from Miami.
Right.
He said, I've always grew up in an environment around Latinos, whites, but he says he has dated Black women, but, he has a preference for Latinos. And I'm like, so you
this ain't that. This ain't that. Okay. So did he when he was telling you that, could you tell that he knew that wasn't smart to tell a Black woman on a Black show?
Or it was just like, I felt in that moment, that right there, I was like, we're not a connection.
Yeah.
And so, dang it, that's gonna be it'll tie into this upcoming week because I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna see it with you guys, so I can't speak too much in detail.
Yeah, and I want to be sure that I say, let me say this because I saw somebody said spoiler alert. This is not a spoiler alert.
It's not.
This is what happened on
In the scene, because it was mentioned in the scene. They took
the scene from last week when they went to talk about, you know, the guys. It was mentioned, and actually was a conversation in the ladies' lounge about the fact that Quentin may not. Actually, you weren't even the one that brought it up. That he may not. Right. It was and
Sarah, in my opinion, this is just my perception. When she said, I don't think the way it came out is how she meant it.
Okay.
Sarah, in my opinion, this is just my perception. When she said, I don't think the way it came out is how she meant it.
Okay.
Sarah has went to a private college school, predominantly white.
Okay.
She's, you know, grown up in a predominantly white neighborhood.
Okay.
So, you know, I think at the time when she was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, you know, there wasn't very many black women on there. So she's worked around a lot of white dancers, like her dance classes. She was pretty much the only black girl there. So she's proper. She speaks proper. So you know how women in our culture be like, oh, she acts like a white girl. She talks like a white girl. No, she's just proper. She speaks well.
Right.
So I think her best friend is white. My best friend is white. So I can relate to Kara because I went to a private college where it was predominantly white and I was the minority. At the time when I went, it was only 8 of us black people and the rest were white. So I could relate to her in that moment. So when she said that, I was like, ooh, that's not gonna come out right, but I get what she's trying to say. Yeah. With her environment, her being just an isolated black girl, predominantly around white people, you would consider him being a previous football player. She's a cheerleader. You know, in a predominantly white, you know, environment, whatever. She would be considered the closest thing to white. Like you would think.
I understand why she said it. I didn't take offense because I didn't either. I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I was one of the only blacks a lot of the time. Went to University of Oklahoma, and I've been told that. In fact, when I first went to school with black kids.
So, and let me keep it all the way 100 because I'm big on, you know, I always keep it 100 because everybody does it. And this cast has done it. So when he said that, I'm like, yeah, Quentin. I don't think Quentin for us. And so, like, 2. It would be Janelle and Sierra. Those are the closest to as far as mixed looking like light skin. Okay, so you just said my key word. So when he said if I had to pick 2, it would be Janelle and Sierra. Those are the closest to as far as mixed looking like light skinned. Like those were the 2. So I was like, okay, there's no connection. So and let me keep it all the way 100 because I'm big on, you know, I always keep it 100 because everybody does it. And this cast has done it. So when he said that, I'm like, yeah. Quentin, I don't think Quentin for us. And so, like, we went on the Instagram page. We looked, assumption. There was assumptions. I'm gonna be real and say they probably wrong, but I keep it all the way 100. Right. And so, you look at his following. It's primarily Hispanic, Latino. It's some black people in there too. It's certain people that have worked with him before. That's majority of his clientele. So it makes sense.
Listen, guys, I gotta go. My time is up. But you listen. I wish I could have finished that last section of it when it came to the Quentin situation, because there's a lot to say on that and a lot to break down in terms of how, you know, I see both sides. You know what I mean? You know, I do see both sides. I can see how they got to a point where they saw that perspective, but also as well at the other side, you know, I can also see how this could also be offensive to him as well, because he's thinking like, hold on a minute, I haven't said I don't want you. I just said that maybe if I had a preference. Preference is not a problem, you know what I mean? You know, so I'm not mad at that a little bit. So I personally think there's a broader conversation to have in that respect, but we'll have it another time. You get me? So my time's up. But listen, guys, I gotta go. I appreciate you guys still up to it. We'll be back a little bit later on for another live. But yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Click on